Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Baldip Kaur. We'll be discussing her fantastic book, I Can't Breathe, available for purchase through Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. But guys, listen, if you want to gather everything that Baldip has to offer, do yourself a favor and head directly to her personal site. And that's art2prose.com. So that's ART, the number 2, PROSE.com. There, not only will you find more information on Baldip herself, you'll find more information on this fantastic book, as well as find hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing page. So one more time, that's art2prose.com. Guys, and I will say that Baldip was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best movers in the business, okay? Author Reputation Press Publishing. Guys, listen, if you have a book that you'd like moved, do yourself the best favor that you can do and contact our great friends over at ARP. And you can find out more information on them at authorreputationpress.com. Guys, this is a pleasure. It's a pleasure and it's an absolute honor to have Baldip here on the line. Right there in the title, I Can't Breathe. Guys, we know when we hear those 3 words now, it has forever been changed, right? It has forever been tarnished by that being one of George Floyd's last words. So this book is so timely because it arose partially through that. Now, here's the great thing. It's a fictional narrative. So Baldip's characters that she has created have nothing to do with George Floyd in that case, but it's all going to be around human beings being put in situations where they feel suffocated, right? Where they are being now held against their will, when they're being held down either physically or metaphorically. And this is such a powerful book. And it's an honor to have Baldip here on the line. And listen, she's the expert. She's written the book. She's done the research, and she is going to be able to articulate everything much better than I ever could. Okay. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Baldip, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you so much for being a guest. How are you?
Hi, thank you, Benji. And actually, you have explained it even, I think, better than I could have explained myself. But thank you for having me on your program.
Absolutely.
And giving me this opportunity to explain about the book.
Mm-hmm. First and foremost, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. We are absolutely looking forward to this. Looking forward to this for multiple reasons. A, to hear your side of things. B, to learn about your narrative. But C, also because even though it's a fictional narrative, I'm sure there are going to be so many powerful messages that we're going to be able to take from this book and implement into our day-to-day lives. Either, again, how we're going about things, how we are addressing certain things, how we're viewing certain situations. There is so much to be gained by this book, and it is truly an honor to have you as a guest with us. Now, listen, I know we have so much information to cover, Baldip, but before we go into the book, let's hold off slightly. Start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about yourself and your background, please.
I was born in Cairo, and my father was in the diplomatic service, so we moved around a lot before we came and settled in London. My life actually is divided in 2 parts. The writing part, the writing journey or the expressive journey, and the one before that. The one before that, when I was younger, yes, was very boring. All I did was read and observe people. Observe people that, especially women, were schooled into certain ways of thinking. But after a certain time, something happened, and I think the only thing I can explain, or how I can explain, is my life was reinvented in the sense that I discovered a means of expression which started with art, and then from there went to poetry, and then I discovered writing. And once I discovered writing, there was no stopping me, and I've written 5 novels to date. And I think literally I think there has been a novel every year. And all my novels are actually based on reality and fiction together. So they're intermingled, and they're crafted around reality and portrayed through fictional characters.
Mm-hmm. Baldip, first and foremost, let me just congratulate you on 5 novels to date. That is such an impressive thing. Guys, listen, I'm telling you, you know what you have to do, right? Amazon, Barnes & Noble, art2pros.com. You got to look into everything that she has in store, okay? Because it's just a gift that keeps on giving, and make sure that you're checking in frequently, because we're going to discuss I Can't Breathe today. But there is so much more on the horizon. So be on the lookout, because you truly are going to be impressed, right? I mean, listen, you surely will not be disappointed. Baldip, thank you for explaining all of that. Nothing but continued success for you and all of your loved ones. And without further ado, I Can't Breathe. Tell us a little bit more about your book.
Now, this is I Can't Breathe was written during the pandemic, and at a time when, of course, George Floyd's video went viral. And whilst everybody took to the streets and held demonstrations, and I started writing. I didn't know what I was. I felt so strongly about this, so strongly about the injustice that he had suffered, that all I could do was pick up my pen and I started writing. And as I wrote, I uncovered so much, and my book has layers and layers of different kinds of oppression, different things that women go through because of certain, their upbringing or what have you. Mm-hmm. But George Floyd, racism, discrimination, I have put this in characters, through characters, and this is portrayed in story form, in fictional form, throughout the book. And I covered domestic violence as well as oppressed women. How and what I actually discovered, I think you mentioned that, was that when a person undergoes or suffers or endures all the bullying and the discrimination, there are some people who can withstand, or who are strong enough to withstand. There are others who are weak, they are more fragile. So it has a it has a longer effect on them. It has a damaging effect on them. Absolutely. Which I have actually also got in my book. I have revealed that in my book. So yes, it was like I said, it was like uncovering layers and layers of different forms of oppression or suppression, exploitation, different kinds of exploitation. Mm-hmm. The women are exploited, financially. They are exploited, through domestic violence. They are exploited physically. All that is in my book. It is, and it was shocking when I wrote it, because obviously whatever I write, I feel, or the other way around.
Of course.
So yes, part of it was that.
Baldip, thank you very much. And listen, this is what I love so much, and this is why I think the power of this book lies, right? Because again, you're first and foremost, you're starting with those words, right? So the moment anybody does any research and they come across that title, because those 3 words have really sent shockwaves through the entire globe. I mean, this was not, it happened in the U.S., but this was something that was felt across the globe, right? And there's no mistake about that.
And actually, Benji, it's not only about George Floyd. It was
No, of course.
This book is set in the pandemic. People were wearing masks. It was like everybody was feeling suffocated basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that there was that feeling going. There was that atmosphere, and of course in relationships as well. So
Mm-hmm.
everything all in one, which just comes up with "I can't breathe" in whatever relationship you are, or if you're in a bad relationship, or you're in a pandemic, or things happened in certain countries where there was lack of oxygen and people were going through the pandemic, and they were dying, crying out, "I can't breathe."
Right. No,
Because
absolutely.
they just didn't have the oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
So it sort of. I felt very strongly about that. I mean, of course, George Floyd was the he initiated. It was on his. I think what happened to him was terrible. It was inspired by him. Let's put it like
Absolutely.
that. The whole book was inspired by George Floyd and what happened to him. How people were disturbed. How people reacted to what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And those who were voiceless actually, they had the strength to fight against this. They had the strength to say that, no, this is not right. So yes, I've actually written a poem which I have not even edited in the book, but it was as if it was George Floyd who was guiding his, what he felt in the last moments. He was guiding the people so that they could, get awareness or find strength to fight against injustice, whereas he couldn't. So I always have this that, he had his gentle presence because he was a very gentle person.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Baldip, and this is why, again, what I was saying, like, I love what you did here because the narrative itself has nothing to do with George Floyd or the George Floyd case.
No,
what I'm saying,
no.
those three words, because they're so synonymous with that case, instantly, right off the bat, by titling your book that, it's going to stop and it's going to churn heads, right? And then when you start to go into the book itself, what you did that was so incredible is again, not to say that you didn't want to talk about George Floyd or that case, but it's bigger than just that one instance. In that situation, in the I Can't Breathe, we're talking about a different type of oppression. But as you stated, your characters that you've created, guys, there are so many layers. There's so much variety when it comes to oppression,
Yes.
Unfortunately so, right? Because there are so many different groups and classifications of people that are oppressed. And this book speaks to that, and you're bringing a voice to the voiceless. Baldip, next question that I want to go into. I'm curious. So we know about the book. We know about the inspiration, how it came about. What would you say was a highlight for you in either writing the book or the journey prior to formulating the words and the story and the narrative? What was a highlight for you in writing this book? Or if not a highlight, something that surprised you that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, I think with me is like I mentioned, discovering layers and layers of oppression. Mm-hmm. And once the highlight was that once I actually get into a book, and this one as well, it's actually the characters who take over. And actually, I don't stop. It's like as if they know where they are going, and I'm just following them. So and then each one I discover has there's always something new. And for example, there's another example in this one as well. Apart from oppression, I have this was actually based also. I've got a political background to it as well, a little bit of a background. I have created a character who's a political journalist. So she goes to various places which need addressing, basically, which have issues that need addressing or which need highlighting. So I brought that into that. But I think the best part that I liked in the book was that there is there is love in the book that is shown, a love that actually changes a person, yes? Changes the person's mindset.
Absolutely.
Changes the person's values. So I think that is actually what I would consider to be the highlight of the book, because the whole book was about one particular, it was about oppression, but this love that came up and how it changes people and how they change from, what they were thinking to another softer character, basically, was lovely. Was very nice to feel.
Baldip, listen, there's so much that I can say. There's so much that I could ask. There's so much that I want to have a discussion about. But unfortunately, I have to refrain because it's not about me, right? This is not about me. Listen, as we start to tie up this fantastic interview, Baldip, listen, we know that you have, as you stated, you have 5 novels that you've written to date. First and foremost,
yes.
Congratulations again on accomplishing such a wonderful feat. What's next for you, Baldip? What's on the horizon? Do you have any other books? Is there a 6th on the way? Talk to us about what's next.
No, because what happened is during the pandemic, I wrote 3 books. I completed 1 and finished this I Can't Breathe. And now I think I'm a little burnt out with the writing. So I want to take a break. I want to take a break from writing, but I can't stay without it. So obviously I will write at some point. There will be something down the line.
There
but
you go.
At the moment, I'm taking too much. It's just two books in 1 year is too much.
You've earned some rest time. So you go, you recuperate, you take some time, you enjoy yourself. And please, we will absolutely be looking forward to the next one when it comes out. But guys, in the meantime, you know what you have to do. I'm going to say it for you once more, even though I know I don't have to. Here on the line with Baldip Kaur, we just finished discussing her wonderful book, I Can't Breathe, available for purchase through Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com. But make sure you're heading to her personal site frequently to gather everything that she has in store now, but also everything that she'll have in store in the future. And that's art2prose.com.
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring this up, that the book before this one, which is Call of Angels, has actually been recommended for a movie. So,
wow.
So that is what I'm waiting for. So while I'm not writing, I think I will be waiting for this one to take off and hopefully the other one to be made into a movie, into a Hollywood movie.
Fantastic.
So yes.
There you have it. So guys, not only can you purchase the books, but you also may see her on the silver screen as well. Baldip, listen, girl, you are impressive, okay? You are absolutely impressive. Again, nothing but continued success in all of your future endeavors. And guys, as we close out here, listen, I'm not going to go back into a ton of it. If this hasn't moved you, pinch yourself, right? I mean, the concepts that we're talking about here and what I love so much about it, and guys, this is what we discuss all the time here at People of Distinction. We're constantly talking about our human family and how there's more that connects us than separates us. And I know that may sound like such a cliche, but it truly is. What happened to George Floyd, as egregious as that was, right? As absolutely heartbreaking as that was, it affected more than just him and his family. That is a representation of our society. When we talk about her book and these characters and the women that we find and the women that are oppressed, not only in this book, but also in society at large. Guys, just recently, I think it was the women's national soccer team here in the United States that just won a lawsuit where they've been fighting for years to get somewhat more of equal pay in comparison to the men's soccer team. And we know that things like this happen everywhere. How often do we hear stories about women not receiving equal pay as men when they're doing equal work, if not better work, than some of their male counterparts? Guys, it may not affect you specifically. It may not affect the community in which you come from specifically, but I promise you, it will have an effect on you. We don't know In the present moment, we can't see how far those ripples go, but I promise you eventually it'll touch everybody. It affects everyone. And this is why this book is so important, because it'll open your eyes to an ulterior universe in some instances, right? Because if you don't have the experience of that type of oppression, you will now become knowledgeable to what other people have to deal with. And when you become knowledgeable that way, when your eyes are open that way, now you can start to help assist in the change rather than standing in its way. I love what Baldip did here. Do yourself a favor, head on over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, arttoprose.com. Pick up your copy today. It's a great journey for you to take. It's an even better gift for you to get for someone else. Let's grow, let's develop, let's educate ourselves. And it starts with this amazing narrative. Baldip, thank you once again. This has been an absolute honor. Thank you for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
Thank you, Benji. Thank you for having me. Thank you.